Happy New Year from all of us here at Better Radio Websites and Skyrocket Radio. I'm Jim Sherwood, and as we wind down our Best of 2024 series, this week we're talking about a hyperlocal website and getting more engagement from doing so. Now, a hyperlocal website is you're just trying to not be everything to everybody, kind of pack this website full of just everything that you think anybody would find useful, but really just getting rid of all of the fluff and just focusing on just your local community area, things that are happening in your community. Studies have shown that you're getting a whole lot more engagement by doing so. As a matter of fact, large companies like Saga and Town Square, they're putting more resources into hyperlocal news websites because they've seen the writing on the wall. So this week, we are kind of rolling back the clock and talking about hyper-local websites in this best of episode back from a couple months ago. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. And if you haven't yet, be sure that you are subscribed and that you are liking and following this on YouTube as well. If you haven't checked this out there, be sure to look for that. Better Radio Websites. Just do a search for that and you'll find us there. And leave a like and a comment there as well. So this week, we're not actually really talking about radio station websites, but really adding a new component to your arsenal or a new brand to your empire. All right. This week, I read that Saga Communications recently accelerated their plans to launch hyperlocal news websites across their market footprint. They've already, get this, pre-booked $1 million in revenue for the initiative. And they're on the right track. Making local news a main highlight of any radio station website. It's always been our goal since we started this 10 years ago. And we've seen many of our clients do very, very well by either adding hyperlocal news content to their radio station website or adding an additional hyperlocal news portal that covers everything in their market. And they're doing very well just raking in the local dollars with these websites. We'll have some links to those in our show notes, and some of them you'll just be blown away. And they're doing this with a very minimal staff. I know that is going to be a big pain point in this conversation, and we're going to cover that a little bit later on. So, creating a hyperlocal website, really, it's going to work wonders for your radio station group because we tell folks, when we talk about the radio station website, we actually tell folks to not think about it as a website because we're radio people. We don't know anything about online. We don't know anything about a website. We don't know how to do none of that. Blah, 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 blah. So if you think about the website as another radio station, don't think about it as a website because a website doesn't really click in our radio minds or in some radio minds. And so if you think about it as a radio station that has content and it has different places around the website, spot blocks where you can put ads, you're able to sell sponsorships to different pages like the weather page or the obituaries or something like that. And so you have all these opportunities that perfectly match what we do on the radio. So if you think about the website as another radio station and kind of program it that way with content, what's the big thing going on right now? Is it a big contest or is it a major event coming up? What is it? And so if you think about it like that, then it's a whole lot easier to really grab your mind around and really start making money with it. Now, a hyperlocal news website, it is not a website that you're going to be wanting to be everything to everybody. So this means no RSS feeds, no national news, no big entertainment news, no country music news, no pop news, nothing like that. It is just hyperlocal, everything around your area. Because what is hyperlocal? Hyperlocal refers to content that is intensely focused in one geographic area. Most of the times it's a town. Sometimes it can be in like a neighborhood. So a neighborhood could have its own website. There are certain places in New York City that each, like a little borough or like that, will have their own little hyperlocal website or newspaper that just covers that area. They don't care about the whole city. They don't care about the whole state. They don't care about the whole country. Just being hyper local to that area. And so that means dealing in the day-to-day life of events, issues, and stories that only affect that area. And so when you do that, you're going to bypass all the extra fluff, and the people who want to know that information are going to flock to you because they're not going to get that information off of the local news. They're not going to get it off of their big statewide newspaper. They're not going to get that information. The stuff that happens in their neighborhood, they can only get from your hyperlocal website. Or if you have this conversation is, if you're in a large market, this conversation is not for you. But if you're in a small market, which most of our affiliates are, this conversation is for you because the smaller the town or the smaller the market, the better opportunity you have. All right, so let's dive into this a little bit more. As I said, the hyperlocal website is not going to be you're not going to want to be everything to everybody. So no national news, no RSS feeds or anything like that. Now, some of the benefits of creating a hyperlocal news website: increased engagement. A local news website provides listeners a platform to engage with your content beyond the traditional line. So you take everything that you would put on the air, because you're going to cover the local events. You're going to cover local news and stuff like that. So just put it on this website and then take it a step further. So if you want to do obituaries or yard sales or a swap shop, classified listings or something like that, you're able to do that. Because think about it. Local newspapers, they're going away. And so we have the opportunity with the perfect vehicle of radio to step in and fill those shoes. Another benefit from creating a hyperlocal news website is a broader audience reach. Online platforms transcend geographical boundaries, allowing you to reach listeners that are maybe from your area, but they've moved away. People in the military who want to know what's going on back home. They may not be able to do that because they don't have a newspaper subscription, but they can find that information on your radio station website or your hyperlocal news website. Now, this can be either on your radio station or it can be another brand that you add to your radio station. Another benefit would be enhanced content distribution, because websites can house various forms of content, including articles, podcasts, videos. So you're not actually sending them to your YouTube channel or your Facebook page. You're kind of keeping them all on your platform so you can monetize that. Yeah, sure, you can send them to YouTube or to Facebook or Instagram to get pictures and all this kind of other stuff, but you're not making any money from that traffic. With a website like this, you can monetize and kind of control the narrative on making revenue with this. And speaking of, it's going to be an additional revenue stream for you if you do this. Like I said, think about it as another radio station, putting a lot of content on there and start generating revenue from it. Saga's making over $1 million for this year. They've already pre-billed for this kind of website. So this is something that you can do as well. And another benefit from creating a website like this is community involvement. A hyperlocal news website can serve as a community hub. So everything is going to come into this website. If I was given a radio station in a very, very small market, like my hometown of Louisville, Mississippi, if I was given that radio station, the very first thing I would do is to create a news website that is based around that. And so, yeah, the radio station may play country or pop or whatever, but I still have this news brand as well that I am taking in every bit of content that I can for that local area and putting it on that website so I can generate more traffic. And more traffic means I can charge more revenue.
Looking to maximize your radio station's digital presence? Skyrocket Radio delivers custom websites and mobile apps built exclusively for radio stations by radio professionals. Our websites engage listeners and drive revenue, while the integrated apps keep your audience connected wherever they are. It's a complete digital solution designed to boost your station's reach and ad sales. To take your station's online experience to the next level, visit skyrocketradio.com.
Some of the recommended content strategies if you want to jump in this arena, and hopefully that you do: Create compelling content. That's really the main thing. That's going to be the cornerstone of any successful website. Developing a robust content strategy, that's going to be essential. You just don't want to go into this thinking, okay, well, everything is open. What are we going to do? Because then there's really no plan. Who's going to be doing what? The first thing you want to do is identify your audience's interest. And this may be something that you learn over time, but you may want to start out with putting everything on there. The quilting bees and everything that the Chamber of Commerce is doing, and just everything. And then after a while, you may look at the analytics and say, look, nobody's really into quilting bees, and nobody's into this certain thing that we're doing. So let's go ahead and don't put any more effort into that. Take that off the website, and let's put effort into what is actually working. And you can even leverage local expertise and contributions. Highlight the expertise within your community by featuring guest columns from local officials, educators, experts in various fields. I mean, have your clients write articles about what they do at their business and maybe certain things that happen at their business at certain times during the year. Involve the Chamber of Commerce. This will diversify your content and strengthen the connections within your community. Emphasize timely and evergreen content as well. We've talked about evergreen content in the past. This is the content that kind of like local history and how-to guides and lifestyle pieces that they can attract traffic over longer periods of time rather than a news article about something happening this weekend, because after this weekend, that is old news. Evergreen content can stay on your website for a longer period of time and attract more visitors, like, the top 10 reasons why you should visit the local park near you or the local whatever near you. That's a piece of evergreen content that can stay on your website for long periods of time. You can utilize multimedia elements to enrich your storytelling. Incorporate various multimedia elements like videos, podcasts, photo galleries, that sort of thing. This enhances user engagement and caters to a different content consumption preferences. Some people, they love videos, but they don't love to read. Some people love reading, but they hate videos. So if you put both on your website, you're satisfying both of those audiences. You can create interactive content as well. Engage your audience with polls, quizzes. Interactive elements can really increase the time on site, which is a new ranking factor in the new Google Analytics 4. Kind of like time spent listening. You get better engagement and better SEO scores the longer somebody stays on your website. That's really a reason why you're seeing longer blog posts now than you've ever seen before. There's pages and pages and pages with big pictures and ads and stuff like that in between. It's because the more you scroll, the longer you take, the better their scores. So that's the game that they're playing right there. Now you can develop a content calendar as well. This is a great idea, especially if you're starting out. Kind of map out the entire year, month by month, and say, okay, what's happening in this month? Let's go ahead and plan now we're going to do a story on that, do a story on this, we're going to cover that event. Get all of your events so you can populate your event calendar and kind of plan out what you're going to be writing for the entire year. That means everybody's on the same page and can fill in whenever you need places to fill in. You can encourage user-generated content. This is something that we've talked about before, and that is actually getting content from your listeners or from people out in the community. And this could be like stories, it could be photos, videos, any kind of user-generated content that comes from them. It gets them involved in the content process. They feel like they're a part of your website and a part of that community. So user-generated content is awesome if you can get that working for you. Be sure that your site is optimized for SEO. This is going to be very, very important as you kind of grow this website, because if your website is not optimized for search engines using relevant keywords, meta tags, making sure all of your images have title and alt tags, that sort of thing, if you're not doing that, you're not going to see any movement in your search engine optimization. You're going to notice that other websites, whenever you do a search for My Town Local News or something like that, you're just not going to be found. But if you do this right. And you don't have to be an SEO expert in order to do this. There are plugins, if you're using WordPress, that actually will give each one of your posts and pages a score and give you some tips on how to better optimize it. So there's really no excuse for not being SEO compliant and just very good at it. So that is one thing else that you do have to keep in mind. You also want to promote across your different channels. So be sure that you maximize the reach of your content, that every time that you post something of interest, that you share it out on Facebook and Twitter and X and all Instagram and wherever your audience mostly is, and you share it out on air and promote it as well. One of the best things that you can do is to promote this new website at every turn on your radio station and on the radio station socials and that sort of thing. Do promos about it. Just go crazy on promoting this new website because it's a brand new source. And it's the source that you're going to be kind of dropping all of your eggs in the basket there. And be sure that you monitor and adapt to your analytics. This is very, very, very important because if you do not check analytics and know what's working and what's not working, you're really flying in the dark with no lights. And so it's very, very important. Use your analytics to understand what types of content works best for your audience and use these insights to refine your content strategy and focus on works best. Now, some pitfalls to avoid in this whole process. Yeah, we've talked about the good stuff and some best practices, but there are some pitfalls that you want to steer clear of, and that's overextending yourself. You don't want to this is not a website that's going to be everything to everybody. So again, no national news, state news. You are just hyper local to your market. We have a couple of our affiliates that have been approached by other content providers. They want to put their content on their website, some national news, some artist news, and some format news and that sort of thing. And they're like, absolutely not. It's not what our listeners want. It is not what we want on our website. It is nothing but local news on their website. And they're making a ton of money with that website too. So don't overextend yourself by trying to want to be everything to everybody. You're being hyper local, super local, more so probably than you are being on air, because on air you'll still talk about format news and national news and that sort of thing. But don't bring that over to this hyper-local website because it's just fluff. And more than likely, it's going to be turning more visitors away than it's going to be attracting. Another pitfall to avoid is neglecting SEO. We talked about being sure that your image have all the title and alt tags and your meta tags are all using keywords on your content pages and posts and stuff. Be sure that if you have to take a YouTube course or something like that on SEO, and really you don't, you just need a plugin to kind of guide you along the way. But once you have this, you can do proper SEO to ensure that your posts and pages can be found and ranked high within search engines. And that is very, very important. You do not want to neglect SEO. Another pitfall is underestimating multimedia content. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit longer to produce videos and maybe embedding audio or doing some other kind of cool things on all of your posts and pages, but it's really, really worth it. Modern audiences, they expect a rich media experience at every turn now. That includes podcasts, videos, interactive elements, and all of these require a little bit of extra planning and some resources and time. You may not have that, but be sure that every so often that you throw in a video or something like that, maybe of the morning show doing the news or the news person doing the news, maybe covering a big event or something out and about that maybe were out getting a soundbite on, and then real quickly turn their iPhone back on them and then do a quick video that you could post on the website. All right. And then the last pitfall, and probably the biggest one, is ignoring your analytics. You have to check this. I'm horrible about checking it. A lot of radio stations are horrible about checking their analytics. They know they have to do it. They know it's important. They know why it's important. They know everything. They just don't do it. And so again, they're like they're driving in the dark with no lights. And so be sure that you are monitoring your analytics to know your audience behavior, know what kind of content they're clicking on, what kind of content they're not clicking on. Do more of what they like, do less of what they don't. And you're going to find that over time, by checking the analytics, you've actually saved yourself a lot of time creating content that nobody visits. All right. So wrapping up, adding a hyperlocal news website to your arsenal or your empire there, it's going to amplify your radio station's impact. It's going to foster more deep connections within your community. And it's just going to be, it's going to be something else that you can gain more revenue from. That's really the main thing. Yes, you're doing all of the community stuff and you're making a difference. But hey, when you can get an extra payday at the end of the month, it's all worthwhile. So, and stations can overcome this with very minimal staff too, by focusing on strategic content creation, community involvement, get your local people involved, and do evergreen content, user-generated content, and just efficiently use the digital tools like the SEO plugins and that sort of thing. With careful planning and execution, your hyperlocal news website can become a vital resource in your market and in your community. It's going to offer a diverse amount of content that engages, informs, and entertains. And like I said, it's going to be a revenue-generating machine. Just promote it well, just like as you would another radio station, and treat it like another radio station with content and ads and sponsorships and that sort of thing. I think you're really going to see a difference in your community and a difference in your bottom line as well. And that's what it's all about. Hey, do you need help with your hyperlocal website? Has this got you on board and fired up about it? Hopefully it has. When we can help you with that, just reach out to us at skyrocketradio.com. Have an awesome week online making your radio station website better. We'll see you next time.